Well, Hickory King is out of here. This rain just keeps coming and coming and coming. And we're just pulling these things and drying them indoors. It's been working fine. It being an heirloom variety, it seems to have a longer ripening season than a more modern variety would. But we dealt with the squirrel issue. If you're a member of this channel, you know how. Because I put a members only video up. But this isn't what I was going to show you today. It just needed to get done. What I'm going to show you is how to do a little bit of maintenance on the grocery row gardens and get them into shape. It's been a couple of weeks of rain and visitors and family and other work, and we've kind of got to put things back together. We've hit that point in the summer where everything is falling to pieces, but we're going to reclaim it, and I'll show you what we do to maintain and make things happy again. The first thing I need to do is clear out my pathways because they're getting to be impassable. So the stuff that is going over, like sadly, these zinnias are getting pruned. I don't really mind. You know, this stuff is going to grow back. If it wants to grow back, it will. So I could take a lot of this mess here and just cut it back so it's functional, so I can move through here again, because it's just kind of insane, right? So I cut back this marigold here. What happens? It feeds the garden bed. It becomes mulch. I throw it on top of this apple. It's open. And I can come in here and wheel hoe these pads again if need be. We've actually wheel hoed them enough times now that they're not really an issue. Like, the weeds are not really taking over. Now, what is getting out of control are these sweet potatoes. They are not the best behaved of plants, but I'm okay with that. You see all these vines? These are planting material. So all these sweet potatoes that we cut, just like this, take advantage of the wet weather. They don't mind the heat. And we go into gaps. So there's a gap underneath this beautiful jalapeno right here, which is producing jalapenos. It's about time to pick some more. And I'll just fill it up with sweet potatoes. And then we'll have a yield coming out of here in the fall. And we'll have our roots for fall, which will take us through the winter. And then we'll be back to white potato season again. At the end of winter, we'll be planting white potatoes. So the sweet potatoes are our beautiful ground cover, spring, summer, fall. And then the potatoes come in early in the spring because we plant them at the end of winter. All works together. So bit by bit, when you open up a gap in the grocery row, you turn around and fill it with something. Incidentally, a bunch of people have asked me to write about this system, and this system is only a couple of years old. It's only a couple of years I've worked in it, and I've kind of been working the bugs out of it, but I have decided to go ahead and write a little booklet on it, and I am putting the booklet up. It's the whole concept, the layout, different plants that I'm using, etc. And it is going to be available for pre-order, and I will put a link below this video. You can pre-order it on Amazon before it even comes out, and then you'll get it as soon as it comes out, at least in digital format. As I see weeds that I don't want, I want everything to be filled with edibles. So when I see weeds, I actually have been tossing them out into the path so they don't reroot, because it's been very, very, very rainy. And what that means is when you weed, if the weeds are laying on top of the ground, like I'm just using them for mulch, they come back again, and that is terrible. That is not what you want. You don't want to spend all the time pulling the same things out over and over again. I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. So they go out here, and then they get thrown to the chickens, and the chickens can do whatever they want to with them. They can eat them or till them under and turn them into compost for me or whatever, but they're not coming back into my garden beds. You don't get the right heat in your compost pile, and you don't turn it regularly and all that kind of stuff. A lot of weed seeds come through. A lot of vegetable seeds come through. If you've ever had a compost pile before, you know that tomatoes show up in it and pumpkins and all kinds of stuff. Even though you read, you know, that hot composting destroys seeds, generally you're not going to get it to the right temperatures or do it perfect enough to destroy all the seeds. But the chickens will get rid of a good bit of the seeds for you. So this part of the path right here is completely filled up with these Brazilian cucumber vines. And the reason I haven't gotten rid of them yet is because this is being saved for seeds, because apparently my wife likes these things. So you see how yellow and huge this thing is getting? This is getting saved. And so I have to just tolerate this for now. They got unruly. They were planted in the beds. They've been slowly vining out into the pathways. But when we get this out of here, I'll pull the vines out. The vines will either become chicken food or they become mulch. In the case of these Everglades tomatoes, what I usually do is just turn the vines back onto the beds. That way we're not losing the tomatoes, because my daughter has a little business selling these tomatoes, but they'll take over the entire garden. Incidentally, if you want some of the tomatoes from my daughter's store, or if you want Seminole pumpkin seeds, she has those now. Now the Seminole pumpkin seeds are a crazy mix of varieties, all vigorous, nutty varieties. Some of them are a little bigger than others because we mixed a bunch of heirlooms, so they should have a lot of vigor to them. They did really good for us. So she has those seeds now too. I'll put a link to her Etsy store. This stuff I just push back. Now I could just chop it and prune it or whatever, but there's really no need. You can just kind of move the sprawl. I don't think I can move the sprawl on these without breaking the vines. So I'll just leave those alone. But these weeds right here, these things are starting to go to seed. I don't want that. If I cut the top of it off without damaging the tomatoes beneath, that's why I look so weird. The top of it, right into the garden bed. The zinnia that I damaged, right into the garden bed. That's how you keep the ground fed. You're cycling nutrients. It's so alive. There's so much fungi in here. There are, you know, there are mushrooms showing up all over the place because it's just constantly raining. It's beautiful. This is like the most exciting garden system ever. Some weeds coming through here around these jalapenos. And these jalapenos have been escaping us. These guys are going to be really good and sweet. And I'll pick a few of these too. We've got so many peppers. My friend Matthew is an artist with making hot sauces. So one of the reasons we planted so many peppers this year is we knew he was going to be around and he was going to be fermenting sauces. Really, really amazing pepper sauces. So we planted a wide variety so he can pull whatever he wants. These summer squash here don't look particularly good. That one's maybe okay. That looks pretty bad. So they go back into the ground to feed the ground. Again, no waste, right? We harvested out of here, we got some good stuff. Now we feed the soil, it goes back in. It's gonna rot down with this rain and be totally beautiful. Basically what you need to do in a grocery row garden system is maintain your trees, primarily your trees and your berries, your perennials. Those are what everything hangs on. Those are the ones you really got to take care of. And then your vegetables, you put them into the gaps whenever a gap opens. You change the vegetables through the seasons. You mix things up, you throw some flowers in, you take a gap, throw some seeds in, put down a cover crop. You can do all this gardening activity. Those trees are growing. If you were to look at it as a time lapse, the trees are moving up, and that stuff is just appearing and disappearing underneath them, appearing and disappearing. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, okra, beans, cover crop, rye, whatever. That stuff just keeps going back into the ground, zoop, up and down and up and down. You're pulling those yields out. Meanwhile, your trees are growing, your trees are growing, your trees are growing. The stuff around your trees are growing and getting fed back to the ground over and over and over again. It's a really cool system, and I love the way it works, and I love how beautiful it is, and I think I'm gonna get inside before I get hit by lightning. So thanks for joining me. Be sure to check out the links below this video where I've got more information, and check out my daughter's Etsy store for some seeds, and I appreciate those of you who have already bought from her. That's a cool thing to do. Anyhow, catch y'all next time, and until then, may your thumbs always be green. I've got a spider in my hat. He just keeps coming off like he's dangling in front of my face as I'm talking. Wow, you're just gonna push him over?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Look at that, look at how strong you are.